Okay, this video is for the Friday lesson, the video lesson, but it's for the 5.2 guys in the class. Okay, so I don't want you to go and do the exponential work the 5.3s are doing. We need to concentrate on linear, straight lines, and slope. So you should have this worksheet on the front desk. There's going to be a couple of worksheets. This is the first one we want to do, and it's called Finding the Slope of Each Line. So in this case, each of the little Cartesian planes have a line on them, and we want to get not just the slope, I want us to also get the equation of the line. So I'm going to change that slightly for us, and I'm going to change that heading to find the equation of the line. So you can do that on your sheet as well, because that's what you need to do. So we need to find the equation of a line, and we need to remember what the equation of a line is. So I'm just going to write that up the top here, and I'm going to write that the equation of our line is of the form y equals mx plus b. And we've looked at this a few times. Okay, the m is the gradient. Okay, so what you could do, if you want to go and pop the heading in your notes, find the equation of a line or each line, and underneath that write y equals mx plus b, and writing that m is the gradient. Another word for gradient is slope. Now, we actually looked at this last lesson as a warm-up, so you might want to write this down again, but it should be in your books. And we talked about the fact that we could find this slope of the line based on the rise divided by the run of the line. The rise being the height in terms of y and the run in terms of x. So we're going to do that in a moment, and that will give us the m in our equation of the line. We can also find the b. The b is the y-intercept. It's where it cuts the y-axis, and that's the really easy bit on these ones. Each time that line cuts the y-axis, in that case it's at 0, that's our y-intercept, that's our b, it's at 1.5. Where does it do it down here? It cuts it at, oh, we can't see down there. Might have to work that out. We won't be able to work that one out. Over here, it's at 2, so there's options on each of them just about to find this out. Okay, so let's go to your first diagram in your book here. And we want to find the equation of this line. So we need our equation to be of the form y equals mx plus b. So we need to find an m and we need to find a b. Let's find the b first, because that's always easy. B is where it cuts the y-axis, and it cuts the y-axis at 0. So b is going to be 0. That's a nice easy one. M. M is the gradient or the slope. Okay, that is how steep that line is. And when a line slopes in this direction, we're going to have a negative value for our gradient. And when a line slopes in this direction, we're going to have a positive gradient. And that is always the case. So it's a negative sloping line, but our values that we find will calculate that. Now, in order to find our gradient, we are going to use the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I need 2 points. That's all I need to find my gradient, and I'm going to find any 2 points on that line. Now, I give you a suggestion. If 0, 0 falls on that line, which in this case it does, I'm going to use that as a point. 0, 0 is a nice, neat, and easy point. And I'm also going to find another point. I can find an end point. I can find any other, but it's got to be exactly on that line. So I might use this dot down here, this point, which is the x value of 2 and the y value of minus 5. Okay, so I can use those, but I need to allocate a value in terms of x to those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this one, I'll actually call this one here. No, I'll do this one here. x1, y1, x2, y2. The 1s are together, the 2s are together. I do that in that order, but I could call this one x2, y2, x1, y1. As long as the two numbers that are the same are together, I can do that either way. So to find our slope, which is our gradient, they're both m, okay? They're just different words to use for the same thing. We need to pop that into the formula. So my y2 is minus 5. I'm going to take away my y1, which is 0. I'm going to divide by my x2, which is 2, and take away my x1, which is 0. If you need to pause the video and have a look at the values that I've done, I've subtracted from down here to here. What do I get when I do that? I'm going to get minus 5 over 2, which is minus 2.5. So the slope of that line is in the negative direction, and it's got a slope of 2.5. So I can put my equation together now. Y equals mx plus b. M is minus 2.5x plus nothing. So my line would be minus 2.5x, and that is my answer. Let's go and do a second one over here, and then you're going to have a go at some yourself. Now what you will see with this line is it is sloping in the opposite direction to the other one. And a line that slopes in this direction is going to have a positive gradient. So we want to find y equals mx plus b. Let's find our b first. B is the y-intercept. Where does that line cut the y-axis? Well, that's a hard one. It's about 2.5. I would say it's spot on 2.5, or you might write it as 5 over 2. Both are correct. Now we need to find the slope. The slope is m. How we find m is we're going to go y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 like we did before. We need 2 points. I might just use my n dots here that are on that line. So I've got 5 and 2 as my point up here. And I've got minus 5 and minus 5 down below. Just ignore that little green line there. Okay. Now, let's name one. We'll go x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's subtract them. So y's are on the top. y2 is minus 5. Take away my y1, which is 2. x2 is minus 5. Take away my y1, which is 5. Minus 5 minus 2 is minus 7. Over minus 10, the negatives will cancel, and I'll get 7/10 as my m. So y equals 7/10 m plus 2.5. Okay. Now, let's have a look at the next couple. You're going to work through these. This one here, I don't want you to find the equation because we don't have a y-intercept. So I just want you to find the slope on this one. So just our m. 4, we can find our equation. 5 and 6, we can find our equation. I think that will work nicely. And 7 and 8 as well. So just note that on 6 and 7, the y-intercept is going to be minus 5 there and 5 up there. You can go and check your slopes down below, okay, on the worksheet. And that's online. I'll send you a link for that as well. But I'll just leave it up here and you can have a look now. If you need to replay the video and check those, there are the answers. So I won't print this one out for you, but I'll print the top sheet. So you can always pause to have a look. They're your slopes, okay? And then if those are your slopes for m, you'll just have plus b on each of them. So you'll have, or you'll actually have minus 5, plus 2, plus 4, plus 5. You'll have nothing for that one because we're not going to do the equation. Plus 2, and we've got our top 2 that I've done. So that's the first thing that you're going to do today. So now what I'd like you to do is to turn your sheet over, and what you'll find is 3 graphs on the back of your sheet like this. And what we would like to be doing with these graphs is to plot them, is to draw each of them. Now, there are multiple ways in which you can draw these graphs, but what I want us to stick to doing is understanding that we only need 2 points in order to draw a graph. And then we connect those 2 points. And the 2 points that we're going to find is the x-intercept. You've done these before, guys. You might be able to just go ahead and do it. And that happens when y equals 0. Okay, so if you have a look over here, the x-axis is here. Where does it intercept the x-axis? It intercepts the x-axis along the line where this y is down at 0. So what we can do is substitute y equals 0 in to this equation to find our x value and where y is 0. So let's pop 0 on the left-hand side. So I get 0 is equal to 2x plus 4. And now I need to use my algebra skills to rearrange that. Okay, in rearranging that, my aim is to get x as a value. So I need to first of all go -4 and -4. So I'll have -4 on the left is equal to 2x plus 4 and -4 disappear. Okay, here's my next equation. -4 equals 2x. I want the x by itself. This 2's in the way. I need to do the opposite of what's happening with the 2, which is dividing by 2 now. Let's divide by 2 and divide by 2. On the left-hand side, I get -4 divided by 2, which is -2, equals 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I get 1x on the left. Okay, but I don't want to write 1x. I just want to write x. So what have we got? We've got our first point, the x-intercept. The x-intercept happens at -2. That's my first dot. I now need one more dot to draw my line. And that dot is going to be my y-intercept. My y-intercept happens when x is 0. So this is my y-axis. Okay, that's where my y-intercept happens. It happens at the point where x is 0. So if I pop x equals 0 into my green equation up the top there, I'll have y is equal to 2 times 0 plus 4, which is 2 times 0 is 0, y equals 4. So my y-intercept happens up here. That is enough information for me to draw that curve. So grab a ruler. I'm going to grab my ruler there. Or if you don't have a ruler, you're going to grab another pen and use that to draw along. And when I do that, I'm going to get my line. But what I'm going to do with my line is I'm going to extend it down past my 2 points and pop arrows on the end. And that is a perfect example of y equals 2x plus 4. Now, I would like you to go and do that for the next 2 curves that are below on your sheet. Exactly the same way, and get 2 points and draw those lines. Once you have finished the stuff on the worksheet, you go back to the OneNote and I'll have left some stuff in there for you to do, and there's also some maths online.